Hello everyone, this is Ben Johnson. I decided to do a playthrough of my first level since 1995, titled E2M4 Redux. We start off in a config room here. The idea was, because I use the levels all dynamic lights, I can't be assured that the end user has the dynamic lights to the correct size. And if they're too big or too small, the levels might be too well lit or not lit enough to see what you need to do. So I've got this simple test in here, and unfortunately I don't know how many people actually do it, but you just go into options, display options, and open GL options, then go into dynamic light options, and you want to increase the light intensity, the light size. And as you can see here, now that switch is just barely visible, whereas it wasn't before. If you go too far with it, you'll actually light up this other sign, and you'll be able to read that and see, oh, you got it too far. So this is not far enough, and that's too far. So somewhere in these two notches is fine. I do it this way. That small of an amount doesn't matter. So anyway, let's start the level. Okay, so E2M4 was always my favorite original Doom level. I don't know why. As a kid, I loved it. I played it more than any others. I kept a save of it, and would go to it often. I think maybe it was just the spooky atmosphere. I love this song, and the weird faces that you'd see on the walls and stuff. Just, it really creeped me out, and I always used to wonder what the levels were supposed to be in Doom, you know, like what this station would, you know, what this region was. Was it a power plant? Was it, you know, some kind of garbage disposal? I would just kind of wonder. And when I went to make this level, I decided on making this a nuclear waste reclamation facility. So the entire thing is basically going to be centered around that theme, and I'll talk about it as we go along. Anyway, as you start out here, there's a very important secret. If you don't get this, you're going to be fighting the first few monsters with a pistol, which is not going to be fun. The secret is in the original Doom level, so hopefully most people know it's there and know to find it. It's pretty obvious with the light shining on it that you're supposed to go over there. I basically figured that this whole thing was going to be a walkthrough for a tour group, and therefore the tour group would come in here and they would be met with UAC personnel who would then usher them along to show them the UAC's awesome new nuclear waste reclamation technology. So it starts off with a grand teleporter here, and we go into the base proper. Okay, I'm not very good at talking while playing, so you'll have to excuse me if there's some lulls while I'm shooting. Anyway, I did this entirely linearly, so I started mapping in that first room, and then did this room, and then did the next room, and basically all along the line. So there is definitely, I think, a progression of quality, although I did at one point actually go back to the earlier parts of the level and rework some of them to make them look better. Like this bridge, for instance, was just flat, and the bridge over the nukage, which we're going to get to in a minute, was originally flat, and I made it curved once I knew kind of what I was doing and stuff. But for the most part, it's pretty linear map making. So I didn't figure that this would be a part of the tour here. This is kind of like a side maintenance room to access to some of the lines of technology or something that powers this plant, and it's sort of been reclaimed by hell. If you'll remember this room, originally these were square. I decided they would be pipes, so I made them round. And I couldn't figure out a justification for why walking over there would lower them, but that's the way it was in the original map, and I didn't change it. I think now if I was mapping, I would change it. So these come down just like in the original map, and expose some secret goodies. kind of need all this stuff. And a double shotgun. Yes, I did this in Doom 2. Now there is a secret here that you can get. There's a bunch of health vials in there. Oh, I got it there. I've tried multiple times and I can't do it on camera, but this time I was able to successfully do it, so that's an easy grab. Alright, so now getting back to the idea of the tour, I figured that this would be the office of the administrator, and he would have this big window so he could see when a tour group comes in and can come out to greet him, and this whole thing I figured would be really fancy to impress them. And then they would take the tour group in here and say, look, you know, the byproduct of all of our amazing UAC technology is all this nuclear waste, all this gunky sludge, and we figured out a way to reclaim it, and we'll walk you through the steps of reclaiming it. So clear these guys out here. I think one of the reasons I liked this level better than any of the others in Doom was because it had a lot of color themes. And I loved the intense colors, and I kind of tried to go with that here with some pretty intense hues. But you know, this original room was fairly similar to this and was filled with the green nukage. And then you'd come over to here and it was this blue hallway, and I just loved that blue hallway. I think that was my absolute favorite thing in the whole map, was that blue hallway. I don't know why I was a kid. Whatever. But there was just so much cool about that color, and you'll see later on there's the red room, which looks very cool. I gotta be careful here because there's quite a few enemies, including an invisible guy who I'd very much like to not meet up close and personal. Ouch. Yeah, like that. Goodbye. So this would be the second stop on the tour, and I figured this would be to show off to them, okay, here's our first step in our reclamation. And this room, as you'll recall, in the original map had a giant crusher in it, and I tried to figure out what was that crusher about. And I figured, well, this is what's used to crush the gross nuclear waste, large chunks into small chunks, basically, and it looks like the demons have kind of taken it over and are using it for something far more nefarious, like crushing humans. But originally it was to crush nukage. Okay, and so that switch opens that door, and this one raises up these platforms. And then this switch in here is what gets you onto the upper levels. But I found with my beta testers that they couldn't figure out what this switch did, so I put these two monitors in. A lot of times I found with one monitor it would get shot in the battle, so I put two in, and hopefully one of them will survive and show the player that that's how you can get up. So then we can come up here and round it up. And this time, again, I was mapping this linearly, so by this time in the mapping I was feeling fairly confident with doing the 3D floor, 3D sector type stuff. So I decided to go all out and try to make a true room above room with a whole bunch of complicated architecture all around it. And I decided to center it around that crusher. And I think it came out pretty dang good. It took me days to do because I was still kind of figuring out how to do this, and for that matter, I'm never very fast. I'm not a fast mapper. That's why it takes me years to make each one of my maps. I tend to work on small sections obsessively to get them to where I like them or to where I envision them. And here we see one of my first destructible sprites, which is going to very much be in front and center on my next map pack. I want just about every sprite there is in the game to be completely destructible. So anyway, I finished this off. I think think it's really cool. At least I like it. I like all the complex architecture, and I don't think there's a whole lot of room above room stuff done anymore, and or done at this time, and I wish people would do more of it, but I do understand why it's not used a lot, because it was a lot of work, and your brain starts to go inside out trying to figure out which, you know, where this goes and where that goes, and the sectors start stacking up, and it looks more and more of a mess in the map, your map program. I wish, if I were doing this now, I would have added a lot more detail in this upper room. It's more or less just kind of a blank, empty thing. I would have put, I don't know, an office up here or something that would have made it look a little better, but I don't know, for the time I thought it was pretty good. So then we've got a secret here. This one obviously would not be part of the tour, but you'd come back here and... Hello, I always forget about you. Good night. This is just like a CPU core room, I figured, so I kind of made it look kind of computerish. You gotta be careful in here, it can crush you really easily with this movement. So now that they've shown the crushing the nuclear waste, they're going to shuttle the people along to the next station on the tour, and let's head there now. Clear out some of these guys so I can talk. Come on. There we are. Okay, this is just another computer station where a UAC employee could be working. Gimme, gimme, gimme. That's a foreshadowing of something we're going to be coming to soon. Or probably already have visited if you're playing this like I do. Here's another one of my destructible things, this time a destructible wall piece. I think that's pretty cool. That took me a while to do. Again, because I'm not very fast. I'm sure there's some mappers that could have pounded this out in a week, but it took me months. And there I was playing for the first time with doing a complicated door opening, animated door opening, which I think turned out pretty good. And this is like a computer, I don't know, control room. You'd have scientists busily working away as you're talking to the tour group. And you can shuttle them up here on this elevator. And this is another secret over here. If you destroyed that previous head, you would know that this one is also destructible, and you can get behind it to find some much needed health and armor. So now we take these guys out, because you never get free loot in Doom, it's always got to have a trap. Alright, and then there's actually another secret here. You can get underneath the elevator and into this little area here with a bunch of ammo and some much needed cells. And it leads back out into the hall. So let's head up the elevator. Alright, so I figured this would be a grand entrance into the inner workings of the nuclear reclamation facility. So the UAC wants to make it extremely fancy and a really grand opening, door coming open, and ooh, you know, welcome to Jurassic Park type moment. Of course, we're welcomed by something much different from the scientists that originally worked here. Now I figured this would be kind of a filtration system, which would take the liquid nukage and would filter out these little gunky bits, which they could then further break down in a machine coming up in the next room. And as you can see, the monsters have kind of spread the nukage around. Those destructible screens I'm really proud of. I am not a very good coder, and if any of you are good coders, please don't look at my maps, it's embarrassing. But I am proud of how I did that, the code to destroy the monitors. I actually only have, I think it's either just one or only a couple of pieces of code that destroys every single one of these in the game. And I am proud that I figured out how to do that. So this is another scientific room where you walk through and show a bunch of scientists working to impress the investors or whoever it is you're showing this off. And here's the conveyor belt crusher that would take those little nukage chunks and smush them down into the small liquidy bits that go and get dumped out into that main vat. Because we all know that nuclear material can be crushed down into liquid. That's science fact. You can trust me. Put it on your term paper. Alright, and here's another secret. If we climb underneath this little bridge, we've got a section that leads back actually to the beginning of the level. But we don't really want to go there. That's that first secret where the shotgun was. But let's continue on. And we're going to save those cells. So this just leads back out into the science room. Fun fact, that is actually the dashboard of a car. I don't remember which car, but I modified it and put it on a Doom texture. Some of my textures are kind of haphazard. Like that one is really low res, and then this one is fairly high res, or at least higher res. I'm trying to get better about that, mostly use high res textures, but I'm not perfect about it, so I do the best I can. And here we see these, are these cacoliches I think they're called, and boy do I hate these. This is actually the 5th time I've done this. The first 6th time, excuse me. The first 4 times I got killed by one of these stupid things at various points in the levels. And the 5th time I uploaded and then realized that my talking was way too soft. And nobody could hear anything I was saying, so we're doing it a 6th time, and I'm going to try very hard not to get killed, because it really sucks, and I don't want to die in my own levels. Alright, so here the UAC would take the tour group and say, see, now look, we've run it through the filtration system, and look, we're pumping clean, pure, fresh water out. So we've turned that awful nuclear sludge, nukage liquid into something clean and pure and fresh and drinkable. And then these, if you'll remember this original room, there was a zigzag corridor to get across. I didn't want to do that. I didn't figure there'd be a point to doing that in a base, but I figured maybe this would be some kind of thing that's mixing the water, or I don't know, aerating it or something, and it's malfunctioning, so you can raise the blades up and cross them to get across to this small secret janitor's closet-y type thing. Stop running away. Cute. So this is just like a little janitor's closet, but it does have a rad suit in it, so we can go into that radiated chamber that we started off in. Let's drop down into the water. There's some very much needed cells in here as well. So grab all of those and come through this hallway, which leads back into the main sludge tank. I love these monsters, but I hate them. They're so unpredictable, you can never get them very good. Or look very cool, just like instantly killing them. They're always kind of jumping around. So now if you remember this room that we opened up by walking around the center here, just like in the original level, you walk, I think there's a trip line right about here that causes it to open when you pass over it. But there was just a bunch of demons in it, and I was like, well, they don't just want a bunch of demons for no reason, so what's this room for? And I figured, well, this is another piece of the filtration system. Maybe this is the actual filtration hardware that's taking the nukage liquid that's been broken down by all the crushers and turning it into the clean, pure water. The janitor's closet here. Some goodies. Whoops, here we got another one of our little friends. Alright, so these are the filtration machines. I wanted originally to have them be clear and you could actually see nukage flowing through out here, and then make it kind of in between nukage and water there, and then have pure water flowing through, but I could not figure out how to make horizontal translucencies at the time. I think I could probably do it now, but at the time I couldn't figure it out. In fact, I know I could do it now. But at the time I couldn't figure it out, so I just made it opaque and put the filtration signs so that you'd know what it was without having to see the machine. But hey, at least I got some pumping pistons there working. So, let's continue on the tour path. This is about the halfway point of the level, and I originally, when I built this, it was all one level, and the performance was pretty poor on anything but a fairly powerful computer, so I split it into two sections, and here's the loading zone. Takes us into the next section. Now this room was greatly expanded. You'll probably remember... Oh, I hate this guy. He has killed me twice when I've been doing this. Oh wow, owned him that time. This was a fairly small red room, and I wanted to expand it. Like I said, I love the colors in this thing, so I turned it into a much larger, figured that this would be like a shuttling, an area to shuttle the tour group to the next part of the base, to the next step on the tour, basically. So I came up with these. I think these are pretty cool. I don't know why it skips like that when I'm recording. It doesn't do that when it's actually running, at least not on any of my computers. And I figured that people being people, probably by this point you'd be needing to go potty, so let's include a bathroom at this point. That might have killed him. So here, NJ helped me with these cool glass shattering mirrors. And this was the first time in the maps that I decided I wanted to try to do some real sharp, tiny detail type stuff. Excuse me, sorry. So, you know, I did real little tiny greebly bits with hand dryers and the faucets here, and the urinals, even with urinal cakes in them. I think these are pretty good toilets for how hard it is to do architecture like that in Doom. I think it did pretty good. I mean, they're definitely toilets, but my new maps, I definitely improved on that formula anyway. So, that's the men's, and I like these signs, by the way. I found them on the internet, and they were too cool to pass up. Now that would be a bathroom I would be proud to go in and out of. Alright, so another one of those, and some more breakable mirrors, and this is the women's room, nothing much in here. So, continue on. And I figured they'd bring the tour group in here and show them any kind of propaganda videos that they wanted to display for them on the hologram projector in the center of the room. Which isn't so far-fetched, since we actually have holograms today that look so incredibly real you can't tell it's not a real person standing there. So yeah, there's the hologram projector and our necessary yellow key, which leads into the final area of the base. This is, oh, an information booth, and I figured you'd be able to buy some stuff, like here's some bottled water of the purified nukage water and stuff that you could buy and take home and give to your friends, whatever. Alright, so now this is the final room, and before I talk about it, I'm going to clear these guys out, because they're kind of tough. I figure this is a hydroponics garden, now where they're showing, okay, at this point we're testing growing things in the purified nukage. So we've got a bunch of different vats of plants going, and you can look through these windows and see the scientists working in the vats. Of course, hell has taken this over, so there's not scientists anymore, but zombies. And this is just a receptionist desk. And then I figured the final stop on the tour would be the hydroponics garden, where they'd show the fruits of their study and creation. That is, a garden completely watered and fed and whatever with the nuclear radiation, nukage, gunk, liquid stuff that they filtered and purified. And I got this idea. Oh, I hate these things. Oh, I hate them so bad. At least they do the chain gun cha-cha, so you can kind of freeze them in place by pounding on them with the chain gun. I think this is really cool. It's like an indoor garden kind of a thing, and this would also be a place where employees could go to rest and relax and commune with nature, since we're on a moon base. So this was my first attempt at doing outdoor stuff, and this is where I got the idea of doing the island set, which was the next map set I did. I wanted to expand on this idea using particle trees and stuff. These are actual particle trees, just like Oblivion had, which I think look really good. Although when you rotate around them like this, it kind of shows off the failing of the technology. But it looked really good in Oblivion, and I don't know, I personally think the trees looked better on Oblivion than they do in Skyrim, where they got rid of that and went with traditional 3 polygon trees. So here is one more secret. Survive 2 shot rockets. And this part is really tough, so I'm not going to monkey around. I'm just going to take out the rocket launcher. These things suck. And some health and armor. And I figured this was just a sewer, you know. Nothing fancy, just sewer maintenance stuff. And sewer, which you can see through these gates, is leading off into the distance. So let's head back to the hydroponics garden, since this was just kind of an aside. I originally was going to make it so that you could go down the sewer and continue on in there, but that whole area is redundant to the level, and just making it even bigger seemed like kind of pointless or counterintuitive or counterproductive anyway. So now let's head into the hydroponics garden, which is crawling with baddies. These guys kind of come from all over. They're spread out throughout the room, and it's really fun. If you play through this multiple times, you'll always have a different... They'll come from different ways, and sometimes they'll come down these ramps and things. This was my second attempt at doing a complex room above room type architecture, and I'm really, really proud of this room. I still think it's one of the best things I've ever rendered in Doom. See, they just keep coming. That's cool. That's what I wanted. They keep kind of trickling out, wandering out from the back. And just a maintenance room with a first aid kit, some tools. Nothing too fancy. And another maintenance room. This was actually the room that gave me the idea of making this a reclamation facility. Because if you'll remember, the original room was filled, the walls all had vines growing on them, and I was like, well, why is this here? And I decided, well, because they're growing plants. Well, why are they growing plants? So, because of the whole nuclear waste reclamation idea. And from that, I figured, well, rather than just vines growing on the wall, let's turn this into like a hydroponics garden. So that was what gave me the basic idea for what to do with this level, and I think these are pretty cool. If you know your plants, you'll probably recognize some celery and carrots and onions, I think, and some other stuff they're growing in here. In addition to just, there's some tomatoes. Sparky. So it's a lot of fun to come up here, and there's this upper level with more of these vats. And if any of you mappers like this effect, this water flowing over, makes it look like a thin film of water passing over a texture, that's actually animated in GIMP, so it's very easy to make a texture animation that loops in GIMP, so you can do stuff like that. And it has multiple applications. I'll point one out later on. So this is these. Now let's go into the central offices or laboratories. Alright, so here would be where they're doing some research. And got some radioactive isotopes glowing, because we all know radioactive isotopes glow, right? That's what they show in the movies, so it must be true. Totally. You can trust me. I'm a map maker. I know these things. So, some more room above room with these walkways. Oh, and there's... I think that's the last cackle-lich. Let's give him a special treat. Punk. There you can see through to the outer area. So, more workstations. Here's a hydroponics development area. With a big hydro tank in it. Where they're growing something or other. And this also has the switch, which opens up the exit to the level. Up here. And there we go. That was out in the main hydroponics room. But before we do that, let's visit one more secret. And I usually go and do this secret first, but since that kind of breaks the logical flow, I like these ads put on, don't waste that waste. UAC nuclear waste reclamation. So they're turning giant barrels of icky yuck into this. Cool. This secret is also in the original game where you can fall down. Kind of a maintenance area here with a bunch of pipes. See for the filtration systems. And this teleporter leads into this room, so it's the most efficient route if you were speed running. Not that I think anybody would or would want to, but you can get to that switch fastest from here. But it puts you right in front of that cackle-lich, and good luck fighting him at close range without any cover to hide behind. Did I just get shot at? I did. Wow. What was about that? Oh, there's still some more in here. Okay, so much for thinking I had them all. Alright, so here's the exit we opened, employees only. And here I was having fun animating 3D floors, which actually works. Jeez. Well, I wanted this to happen, and it sure does happen. They keep trickling in from who knows where. They're all in that level and keep coming out. Maybe I even hid some here, I don't know. These were fun to do. It's just a little easy math equation that makes them rotate through a cycle of they marry up to each other and then pull apart, separate, and then kind of come back together again. It's kind of hypnotic if you watch it for a while. So we come up here, use caution on the stairs. And we reach the teleporter. There, that flickering red lightning is another use of that animation tool in GIMP, so it's got multiple applications. If you're creative, you can make it look like there's liquid flowing over a surface or things like that. So we head in here, and this appears to be some kind of a locker area. This, again, would not have the tour group anymore. This is an employees-only area. And we've got some dead trees, and if you'll recall, this room had a spooky face thing showing along one wall. So I put a spooky face thing on this monitor, which kind of fits. And then we hear a Geiger counter. What's that? Oh, look, it's nukage. And come to find out, the whole thing was a sham. They've just been piping the nukage into here and hiding it from the tour group and showing off a false technology. They aren't really purifying the nukage, they're still dumping it. Those dirty rats. So it's kind of like the surprise ending to the whole thing. And I doubt anybody that played it got that, but that was what I was thinking when I developed this. Now, on the original version I made this for, I think 1.4 something of GZDoom, this, you would pick it up and it would actually take 10 health. And I don't know, it broke it, and I should probably try to go in and fix it. You can't pick it up now, and it would laugh at you. And then if you click on the back wall there, it opens up and there's the real one, including some ammo, which we're going to very much want. And you can climb out there and get the health if you want to, if you need it. And oh, maybe we don't need it. Looks like it's the exit. You can see the sign up ahead there. And whoops, oh no, boss fight time. Song by me called Shattergast. Flip the name up on this one. Whoa, did that fight happen? Was it a dream? Huh, the floor is solid now. Strange. Well, nothing else to do but exit the level. And I hope you've enjoyed this playthrough, and hopefully it's given you some insight into the level, and if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. If you have any suggestions, go ahead and let me know. I'd be interested if you think this was a good thing and fun to watch. And I'll see you on the next map. Bye.